Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Come on, you're in the Bronx now. Good morning. It's great to be here once again, to have our governor with us in the Bronx. This is the second time in less than a week. I am so happy to be here in the Port Morris section of the Bronx to make this wonderful announcement and this great opening. Before I get to that, though, I would want you all to help me in recognizing some of our partners in government who are with us here today. Without them, all of the great things that are happening in our borough would not be possible. We are joined by State Senator Ruben Diaz Sr. We are here with Assembly Member Jose Rivera. We have with us State Senator Gustavo Rivera. City Council Member Jimmy Vaca. The President and CEO of the Empire State Development, Howard Zemsky. The Commissioner of the New York State Department of Labor, Roberta Reardon. The Yahtzee Local 764 head, Frank Gallagher. And there are some others that you'll hear from momentarily, especially our speaker, but I wanted to just welcome everyone. You know, just last week we were with the governor in Hunts Point where we made an announcement on a food hub, which will not only create jobs, but will also make healthy, nutritious food, affordable food readily available to Bronxites and people throughout the city of New York, especially in the Bronx. And we would do so in a way where the farmers in upstate New York will be able to sell their products right here and help them in their economy. And so today here we are in this area of the Bronx, which many of you perhaps have been reading about. This area in the Bronx is, like the rest of the Bronx, is experiencing a renaissance. I say that because in the last 7 years, there has been an increase in economic development, 54 million square feet of economic development in our borough, close to $10 billion in private investment. We've cut unemployment from 14.1% to just under 7%. 103,000 more Bronxites are working today than the first day that I took office. And we've done so with the assistance of our friends in government. We've done so with the help and the friendship of our governor, who's a nice guy, who is great on transportation, who is not only great on economic development, but he is eloquent and articulate and funny and good looking. Let's give it up for the governor of the state of New York. But when you talk about job creation and putting Bronxites and people to work and giving a shot in the arm to the local economy, we're doing that in many different ways. In other words, our portfolio is a diverse one. We've done that with retail. We've done that through the healthcare industry. We've done that through food services. And here we are today, making sure that the film industry, which is booming in the city and in the state of New York, thanks to the governor, the legislature, and you're going to hear momentarily from the speaker, with film tax credit and other things, it's booming. But the reality is that for too many years, the Bronx has not participated or has not felt that. Recently, however, you've seen more shows like Gotham, shows like Boardwalk Empire, making sure that working with the state, more and more of the film industry is looking at us to film not only in our streets, but here we are today in this 115,000 square foot facility, thanks to the Sooner brothers. Let's give them a strong round of applause as well. And so before I bring up the speaker, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Governor. Thank you to Stewart and Allen. Thank you, gentlemen, for investing in our borough. Thank you for making sure that this community is revitalized. But it's not just about the jobs. It's about, unfortunately, in the past, that Hollywood has perpetuated a negative image, that negative stereotype that we have not been able to shake. with this facility, with the filming that's happening here, we will create the jobs, we will make sure that local businesses benefit, but more importantly, we will show the world that the Bronx is back. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do now is bring that individual that for the last year and a half has done an amazing job as the Speaker of the New York State Assembly. Someone who has been a personal friend, someone who has been an ally politically, someone who never ever forgets that while now he has a conference that represents the entire state of New York, that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done right here in his home borough. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the dynamic Speaker of the New York State Assembly, Speaker Carl Hasty.
Since I'm one of the short guys on the program. Now, this is really a great day for the borough, and many times when I get together with the borough president and the governor's been here with us, and I constantly tell the story of when Reardon and I were both in the assembly, way before I was speaker, way before he was borough president. We used to lament about how the Bronx was always considered first in everything that was bad and last in everything that's good. And then you fast forward to today, and you look at what is being brought here today, that people are really paying attention to the Bronx, people want to invest in the Bronx, and people want to live and do business here in the Bronx. It's such a wonderful thing to say, and the Bronx really is having a renaissance. Now, Reardon mentioned the last 7 years of, I'd say, prosperity in the borough. Some of that has happened simultaneously because he's been borough president, so we need to give him another big round of applause. And as Reardon said, you know, now being speaker, I have to worry about every single county around the state of New York, but I'll never be shy to say that we know which county will always be first in my heart, which is the borough of the Bronx. So since its inception, the Assembly majority has vigorously supported the New York State Film Tax Credit, which now stands at $420 million a year. And that's important because in today's world, the television industry could be very mobile. So it's very important for us to make sure that people are here. And along with people being here, and it's not just about the actors and actresses, it's about having real jobs that people can raise their families on. That's what the film tax credit does. So that's why it's important for us to continue to support that. So the expansion of Silvercup Studios into the Bronx reflects the studio's continued commitment of doing business in our state while bringing jobs to where they are publicly needed. Many of the studio's past productions have become part of the American story. With today's announcement, the people of the Bronx will have a role in telling that story. So with no further ado, I want to publicly, before I introduce him, but publicly thank Stuart for really feeling that the Bronx is a place that Silvercup wants to be. So with no further ado, let's welcome and thank with a rousing round of applause, Stuart Sooner, president and founder of Silvercup Studios.
Governor Cuomo and Speaker Hasty and all Borough President Diaz and all the other electeds here today and all the unions, guilds, and construction workers who helped build this industry and grow here. Thank you for being here today. We are thrilled to have you visit our studios in the Bronx. I'm Stuart Sooner of Silvercup Studios. My brother right here on my left, Alan, and I are excited to officially open Silvercup North today and to provide more studio space to accommodate the growing needs of New York's film and television production industry. And even more so, we're excited to be opening this facility in the Bronx, which has seen an incredible resurgence, and excited to be part of the Bronx's current renaissance. The productions that will film here at Silvercup North and those that will shoot in our stages in Long Island City, Queens, are all made possible by the New York State Film Tax Credit Program. It is so important to emphasize how critical this program is to the industry and continues to be to bring all these jobs to New York. Our first production at Silvercup North, Warner Brothers Television Studios, Time After Time, a show I'm sure you'll enjoy watching on ABC, the first television show to make use of our new stages with the 50-foot high ceilings here. These are the highest ceilings of New York, any film studio, and we're glad to have them with one of our show's producers, Jeff Bernstein, a born and bred Bronx boy who's grown up here and still lives here and enjoys the local community he now has. As Jeff can attest, the TV and film industry injects millions of dollars into the local economy. We've witnessed firsthand the multiplier effect of this production work. Dozens of local businesses throughout are having these productions filmed right here. Just ask the owners of Lenoble Lumber, Public Service Trucking, our restaurants like Mandicati's Rustica and Minetta's. All are Long Island City-based businesses which have been bolstered by the tax credit program. We expect to see the same thing happen here in Port Morris. Time after time, and other productions will spend their time and dollars right here in the Bronx, bringing great new jobs with them. And these jobs are opening doors for so many. As more production work comes to our state, there are more opportunities for young people of all backgrounds to pursue careers in film and television. Silvercup Studios has been involved with the Academy for Careers in Film and Television, a New York City high school, where it's training the next generation of industry professionals to make sure that our talent pool continues to grow, keeping up with the huge demand. And now we look forward to working with many of you here in the local schools right here in the Bronx. We thank the state for making this all possible. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, and for Borough President Diaz and Speaker Heastie, all of you being here today and celebrating our New York's continuing leadership in the film and television industry production. And for all of us here at Silvercup, we're thrilled to be here to bring Hollywood East a little further north. And now please join me in welcoming a man I met over 30 years ago. I was first introduced by his father, the great governor of New York, Mario Cuomo, a friend and the governor of New York State, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, what a great, great day. And a lot of people worked very hard to make today a reality, but nobody more than Stuart and Alan Suna, who have been doing this since 1983. They really are pioneers. Let's give them a round of applause. We have our great borough president who continues to impress and continues to achieve. Government is about getting results. It's not about debate. It's not about advocacy. It's not about posturing what you would like to do. It's actually about getting things done. And this borough president knows how to get things done. Let's give him a big round of applause. My partner in Albany, my good friend, the Speaker of the Assembly, I think we've had a more productive government relationship, and New York State has produced more since he's been Speaker than has happened in decades before. Speaker Carl Heastie, let's give him a big round of applause. From my team, we have the Commissioner of Labor, Roberta Reardon. This is a big win for good labor jobs. You have IATSE is the union representing people on site. The Teamsters are representing all the goods coming in and out. So these are not just jobs, these are great union jobs. And let's give them a round of applause. And Howard Zemsky, who is the president of ESDC, which makes him very important. He is especially important today because he's the man with the check who is funding the operation, so we want to be nice to him. There have been occasions where he has not been properly acknowledged at the event and then refused to fund the project. So big round of applause for Howard Zemsky. And we have the members of our delegation. The Bronx has a great delegation to work with in Albany. And we go way, way back. And they are some of the more creative members. You have Assemblyman Rivera, who is an assemblyman and a full-time film producer. You should know, Alan and Stuart Suna. He is always filming. Stand up, Assemblyman and film producer Rivera. We have our senator from the Bronx who loves to sport a cowboy hat, and he does it very well. It is a father-son team. Now, when the borough president said Senator Diaz, he just said it like Senator Diaz. It's Senator and my father, Senator Diaz. I have a special affection for these father-son political teams. I don't know why. But they are a great duo, let me say that. And my father's no longer with me. But I used to love doing events with him, and we used to have a lot of fun, and there'd be a lot of competition. And I used to like to say at the end of the day, all the good things I do, I got from my father. And the mistakes, they were my own. And this is a great, great representative, Senator Diaz, and I can see why the son is doing so well, because the acorn did not fall far from the tree, Senator. Senator Diaz. And we have Gustavo Rivera, and we have council members. This is a great, great New York story. It really is. And maybe it's the setting, but this could be a movie in and of itself. We're in the Bronx, as you heard, different ways from the borough president and the senator and the assemblyman. The Bronx has been struggling for a long, long time. I went to school in the Bronx. I've worked in the Bronx many years. I'm a Queens boy. Bronx, Queens, you were raised in the outer boroughs, is what they were called. Outer boroughs. There were no inner boroughs. There were only outer boroughs. There was no place called the inner borough. But you were from an outer borough, which gave you that sense that you are from someplace else because you're from the outer borough, even though you never knew where the inner borough was. But the outer boroughs were not as good as the inner boroughs. That's the sense that you were left with. There were 4 outer boroughs, and there were 5 boroughs. So you can sort of guess what was the inner borough, even though they would never admit to being the inner borough. It's like there's the wrong side of the tracks, but there's no right side of the tracks. And you never hear anyone say the right side of the tracks. And the outer boroughs were always struggling economically. People talk about New York City is doing great. Yeah, New York City is doing great. But there'd be great disparity within New York City. And not everyone was doing great in New York City. And you had some of the poorest populations in the state, if not in the nation, in places like the Bronx. And for many, many years, they were overlooked. And the story was just, New York City's doing great. And they never got to the subtitle, which is, however, there are some places in New York City which are not doing great. And there are some people who are not doing great. And there are the outer borough and the people who live in those outer boroughs. And they are facing real, real pain. When the economy turned, as it turned all across the country, when we lost those manufacturing jobs, that hurt in New York City also. You don't think of New York City as a mecca for manufacturing jobs, but we had manufacturing jobs. You know where they were? In the outer boroughs. That's where the land was a little cheaper and you could put up a factory, you could put up a plant. They weren't in Manhattan. They were in the outer boroughs. So when the manufacturing jobs were lost in this country or dissipated in this country, we gave them away overseas, the outer boroughs suffered. We had in Queens a great bread factory called Silvercup Bakery. Silvercup Bakery was Long Island City. You'd drive through Long Island City and you would smell the bread. Literally, the whole neighborhood smelled from this bakery. And Silvercup employed basically the whole community, something like 600 employees, but the delicatessen and the restaurant and everything fed off Silvercup. And then one day, 1975, Silvercup was gone. And that whole community was decimated. And then the question became, what can replace those kinds of jobs? What can you bring in? And it wasn't just Silvercup Bakery. We were losing all sorts of manufacturing jobs. We weren't making refrigerators anymore, weren't making shelving anymore, et cetera. And you had true pioneers who went into now that desert of Silvercup and said, we're going to build a film studio. And people said, are you okay? Is there something you're trying to tell us? We have mental health services available in the state of New York. They said, no, we have a vision. We're going to build a film studio. And they built a 3,000 square foot, very small film studio, and they called it Silvercup because it was near the site of the old Silvercup Bakery, which has now had this big facility with nothing to do. 1983, this was beyond visionary. It was just, there was no concept that New York could become a place where you seriously produce movies. That was Hollywood, that was the West Coast. Even Canada was getting into the business. But they started the business, and that was the Sooner brothers. Started Silvercup Studios in Queens at that time. The state realized we have to do something to replace these industries that we've lost. And the state said, during my father's time, we think we can compete for the film production jobs. And we think we can compete with Hollywood. And we'll provide an incentive to get those jobs here. And it'll be a state tax credit, and we'll see if we can compete. Over the years, not only did we compete, we competed extraordinarily well, where we are now one of the premier places for shooting TV shows, films, et cetera. When you think of shooting a movie, time after time they're going to do here, yeah, you have 400 cast members, you have 2,700 extras, but then if you just took the tour that we took, you have carpenters who are working and they're building sets and they're building homes, and it's amazing all the ancillary jobs that are produced when you're producing a movie. This is a $35 million facility. The first production, time after time, is expected to generate $40 million in economic activity. So it has been a phenomenal success for the state of New York. $400 million in tax credits per year. It's generated over the program $13 billion. Estimated 800,000 jobs created by now competing in the film industry. So it's been a great, great New York success story. And then Queens, like the Bronx, was struggling. The Bronx probably even more so. You have to remember, this is the place that Jimmy Carter came to show the desolation of urban America, right? He came to the Bronx, could have gone anywhere in the United States. That was a Bronx that no longer exists. This is a different place. If I was Reuben, I would think of putting a new name on the end of the Bronx, because it has nothing to do with the old Bronx. You know, the Bronx is back. This is a much, much different place. And it came back for a couple of reasons. Number one, because people recognized the disparity and the unfairness in what was happening in New York, and said enough is enough. If you want New York to do well, then all of New York City has to do well. And it can't just be some places. Next, you have had leadership in the Bronx. You look at this borough president, you look at this speaker. They are the future. They are the next generation. They are educated, they are talented, they are hardworking, they are in the business for the right reasons, and they know how to get things done. You have a full partnership with the state. We are committed. It is an essential part of my philosophy that the greatest feast is the one that is shared by most, and that's great that some parts of the state are doing well, but I'm not going to rest until every part of this state is doing well. And the proof is in the pudding. You heard the numbers from the borough president. The unemployment rate is the best indicator. If people are working, then that means they're earning, that means there's opportunity, that means they're paying taxes. Unemployment rate was 14%. It's down to now 7%. And that is a combination of a lot of work and a lot of events and consistency over and over and over again. Last week, we're in Hunts Point Market, opening a new food distribution center to bolster Hunts Point Market. $30 million to host those community college to help at-risk youth get a job. Focusing on the failing schools, the failing public schools, which, by the way, are not in the rich communities where the white children go. They're in the poorer communities where the minority children go, and focusing on them. The MTA is going to open 4 new train stops to Metro North to make the Bronx more accessible than ever before, and that can transform the Bronx. We're redoing the Throgs Neck Expressway. We're doing Roberta Clemente State Park right on the waterfront because state parks are part of the community. The New York Botanical Gardens, which are phenomenal, and we're reinvesting in them. So food companies are coming back. Housing projects are coming back. The Bronx has a waterfront. I see a Riviera in the Bronx's future. So you put all these pieces together, and you see the unemployment rate drop, and you see the spirit of hope and energy come back. And then the great story ends with Silvercup, that was a dream and a vision that has now done so well and grown so big that they have to expand. And where do they want to go? They want to go to the new Bronx and open this beautiful facility. So time after time will be filmed in this great facility. We will all watch it. We will be supportive every way we can. It is just such a blessing, and I am so proud to see the progress that this borough is making. The arrows are all in the right direction. I believe the Bronx has hit critical mass, and at one point, the economic activity is self-generating, and I think we're right at that point. But it's the consistency of action. It's the consistency of leadership. We have the momentum on our side. We just have to keep going, keep going, keep going. God bless all of you. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. Let's give it up for the governor. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take some photos here. Let me just say this, that you heard the governor check off all of the different boxes of the things that are happening in our borough. And Gov, we couldn't do that without you at the helm. I say this all the time. This is my 20th year as an elected official. And whether we had Democrats or Republicans, whether up in Albany or at City Hall, we've never, ever had someone on our side like Governor Andrew Cuomo. Let's give him a strong round of applause. I also want to acknowledge the fact that there was a partnership that was done, Remsky, between Silvercup and the governor's regional economic development councils. And that partnership was done working with the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation. The president is here, Marlene Sintron. Let's give her a strong round of applause. Shameless plug, for those of you who don't know the neighborhood, we have Cite, which is sushi in the South Bronx. We have the Port Morris, the Mont Haven Bar and Grill. We have Charlie's. Please stay, invest your money. God bless you, and thank you all for being with us.